Black woman. Beautiful, powerful, resilient female of African descent with skin kissed by the sun. Conversation. A talk, especially an informal one between two or more people in which news and ideas are exchanged. We love being Black women. Black women are ambitious. Black women are confident. Black women are diligent. We are tenacious. We walk out of our houses put together. We are many shades and personalities of fabulous. But we as Black women don't talk about our dilemmas, current events, and what's going on every day that affects us. So, we created this podcast as a way to laugh together, cry together, and have an open conversation about life as Black women.
Oh, that's deep. Black Women Conversations.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Janine.
So we have a special surprise for everyone. We're on a different day today, right?
Yes, we are on a different day today. And so we decided to bring you guys a special episode where we go more in depth, sort of give you a behind the scenes look about body positivity with Danni and Brande.
So Danni, can you tell us a little bit about what your coaching sessions are like?
We talk a lot about like the relationship with your body. Some of the sessions we do a lot of Instagram work because what I find is a lot of people say like, oh my gosh, I want to live in my body. I want to like this body. But everybody they're following is somebody who has a different body than them. And that body is the standard of beauty. You know, we definitely work on a lot of Instagram work, and believe it or not, it's so hard to get people to change their Instagram feed. And so we do a lot. We create a plan that is centered around them and their relationship with their body. Sometimes people have to get new friends, new activities. There is a lot of different things that we learn and unpack. And it's even though I serve all clients, I'm one of the few fat Black or Black in general, Black women body image coaches that we have. Most of them are thin white women. And so when you come here and work with I'm a Pound Cake, it is definitely from a lens of like the work that I've learned from other Black women too.
She just said a word. When she said you're going to have to change your friends, sometimes you have to change your friends. If my ankle wasn't hurting, I would get up and run around this room. You have said a word today, okay? Because sometimes you have to change your friends, because if you're not speaking positivity in my life, if you're not a cheerleader, you're going to have to get out of here, okay? Thank you.
Nicole is all about that. You hear me? Let me tell you something. A couple of our first episodes were about friendship. And Nicole is all about like, hey, if you're not on with this program of my greatness, not specifically mine, but like we all going to the same place, right? Like we're all trying to be great. She's like, nope, next, leave you at this stop. We're moving on to the next stop. Nicole is all about that. I'm still learning. I try to hold on and like nurture the friendship and like, oh,
she does. She does. She gives people too many chances. And I'm like, wait, cut that. Because your friends should not be toxic. You should not have toxic friends. And if they are toxic, you need to get rid of them. Like that post that I posted on our Facebook page, the ODC Facebook page, with the guy that's outside the car. And his friend is like hyping him up. And then all of a sudden he's like dancing and singing and doing all this at the same time. I'm like, see, if your friends are like that, you need to get you some new friends. That's all.
That's true.
That's all.
I'm usually the hype person.
Some people's trauma just comes from like their friends never seeing them. Like they've been in this friendship so long and their friends don't know their needs, their triggers. Like, I mean, I don't want to get into like different people's story. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about these things. I won't let anyone think I'm talking about their specific coaching service. But one of the things that I definitely experience is I'm like being there. I'm like, wow. And you've been friends with this person for how long? I'm like, there is no way. Get out, boo. Get out. There's life. A life to live.
But I think that that's something that we're all a little bit guilty of, right? Like kind of letting relationships, just in general, whether it's friendships, relationships with your significant other, or relationships with your family even, just kind of letting them pass their expiration date when they no longer meet your needs anymore. Like, and it's not that, it's not that you go into every situation trying to say like, oh, I want my needs to be met. Because that's not what you have friends or family or any of that for, right? Like it should be mutually beneficial. But like, I think that especially I'm not going to blame it all on social media, but especially in the day of social media where everyone is like self-promoting and like I'm self-aware and everything is about me. We have a very like singular self-focused culture, right? Where it's like, oh, it should be about me. Well, if my friend is about them and I'm about me, like, do we really have a friendship, or is this just we're kind of coexisting in the same space? That's where I'm having a difficult time right now. Like, I know what you used to be. You're not quite that anymore. But at the same time, it's like, I kind of still see your potential. The getting rid of those people is what's hard for me. Nicole is working on it with me.
Yeah, we're working on that with Janine. And, I need to get you a gift card to Danni Services. Let you rid some of these people from your life. Because I'm not here for it. I feel like I am too old. I see too many people die every day. And I'm like, I am not going to be in toxic situations or people that are completely negative. I have a choice whether I'm going to stay in a relationship, whether that be a friendship relationship or an intimate relationship with somebody that is not feeding positivity into my life. I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to move on. So, Brande, tell us about your venture, beenough.com. Tell us about that and what exactly you do with that.
Yeah, so the site is really based on the idea that we question whether we're enough, at so many different times in our lives. Like, you go out for a job, you didn't get it. Am I good enough? You dated somebody. Am I pretty enough? Am I smart enough? All these, questions we have for ourselves. So I started this site about 3 years ago. Mostly was sharing my personal stories at the time, just different things, my weight loss journey at the time, different stories. And now I share more of like celebrity interviews and just talking about, experiences. I ask everyone, can you remember a time you were made to feel like you weren't enough? And how do you push past that? Because it creeps up all the time. And really just kind of based on, as a kid and, teenager, I felt very insecure, but I also felt like I was the only one who was insecure. And then you get older, you realize everybody's insecure, and has something. And so I find a lot of, it's just helpful to hear other people's stories. Like, no, you're not the only one who feels this way. And so that's really what I do with the platform, is just sharing these people's stories so that people can relate. And you see people's hardships. I think a lot of people like to focus on when they made it and the best times, but it's like, let's talk about, the hard parts of living, and how you can relate to people in that way. So that's what the platform's all about.
Okay, Brande, you're being super modest. So I would like you to speak a little bit on, if, for those who don't know, first of all, if you don't know this already, then you probably are not following Brande and Danni. So you should, again, let me remind you, go follow them, right? So, but if you don't know, Brande was part of Drip 2.0, right? Of Beyonce, Ivy Park. Okay, she bought it. She wants to specify she bought it. Beyonce did not gift it to her. Beyonce, I don't know what you're doing. And Beehive, don't come for me. All I'm saying is next time, make sure that Danni and Brande are in the Drip 5.0, whatever it is. Please. Just make sure that they're in the Drip, and make sure that Nicole and I are in the Drip too. I'm just saying.
Get us in the Drip.
I'm just saying. I haven't seen anybody that's super short be in the Drip. Have you all? No.
I'm here for it. Listen, y'all got some pool.
Haven't seen it.
Y'all can have a 4'11" person and some heels in the Drip 5.0.
I just want you all to point out that she admitted that she's 4'11" in heels.
Listen, I'm proud of my height.
Okay, so let me go back. But if you all don't know, so Brande was a part of a review of Ivy Park with Adidas. How do you say it? It's Adidas Ivy Park. However, you all know exactly what I'm talking about. It's everywhere, right? So she was part of it, a review of it, and specifically a review for their plus size clothing. Mm-hmm. So let me give a little bit of backstory, right? The initial Ivy Park drip did not include plus sizes. Now, let me tell you, and this is something that Brande pointed out in the interview that I watched. And I think it was an interview with you, Danni, if I'm not mistaken. So Adidas, unlimited resources. Beyonce, unlimited resources. Beyonce fans, unlimited amount of sizes. But somehow, Drip One had no plus size clothing. And if I'm not mistaken, she sent a drip to Lizzo, who we know to be a plus size body positive advocate. And I mean, we see her. For goodness sakes, she went to an NBA game and showed her tail literally. How do we send her a drip that does not fit her? I'm sure that the Adidas / Ivy Park people team had ways of contacting the Lizzo team, and yet and still there was no drip that fit Lizzo, which to me is just offensive in and of itself, right? Yep. Like, do your homework. If I was a size 2, I want you to send me a size 2. If I'm a size 22, I want you to send me a size 22. Just do your homework. It's not that hard. You did your homework for everybody else, seems. So,
right. And if you're sending it to me, well, how am I aware?
Thank you.
I'm just, somebody lost their job over there.
Or
because that's just crazy offensive.
But I think that it's worth noting that they did not make the same mistake twice. So Drip 2.
Or did they?
Uh-oh. Did they? Danni, did they make the same mistake twice?
Well, we're going to praise Brande first, and then I'm going to be quiet. We're going to praise.
So, no. So what I'm referring to is Brande did a review, and Brande said that she did mention that the pants were a little big, which before Ivy Park was combined with Adidas, I was telling Brande earlier before we got on that I have a Ivy Park like cable knit jumpsuit kind of looking thing. It's a 2-piece that looks kind of like a jumpsuit because it cinches in the middle. And the sizes are not particularly correct, right? Like the top was smaller than it should have been, and the bottoms were larger than they should have been to me, based on my body type. And I am hippier than the average person, right? So my top half is a whole lot smaller than my bottom half, but yet I still found it to be over accommodating for that, right? So I think that their intention was good, but the execution kind of just fell a little short, right? So Brande was saying that it still appears to be the same way, right? You were reviewing a sports bra and some workout pants, correct?
Yeah. So I definitely agree. I think the pants, like the more I wore them, there was just kind of like stretch. I think that they kind of got out of shape, like with the waist part of it. So yeah, I think there's some work. And even I know one of the girls had a medium, her suit, and she's plus size smaller end, but it was a medium. So there's a lot of stretch. But yeah, if you're talking about ordering things online, and that just thinking of the Lizzo situation, I also think there was a feeling of like extra large. It just shows what an afterthought. I think people think extra large is, we're into the plus realm. We've done something, we put it out there, and you're just negating how much, how many people are in the larger end of the spectrum. Like Lizzo was saying, let's see the 18 and up sizes. That's what we want. So I'm glad she at least got it right with sizes, but I know what Danny's about to say with the model part. I think that's where you're going with that. I'm about to say mistake, so I'm gonna let you, because it's real, but I'm gonna let you have a moment.
Okay, Danni. So I think that I know where you're going to, and I'm gonna let you go there. Danni, tell us why you think that she still fell a little short.
Well, let me just say this. It's not just Beyonce who falls short on this. And I really hate that you have to say this for the Beehive, because everybody else, I feel like I don't have to say this first. But let me just say this before I have to drag the Beehive. I'm just kidding, but not really. So my first impression was I went to Twitter and I was like, where are the 4X models? You can't send out an email and say, I'm going up to 4X. And then all of the promotion, even before the boxes came out, the models stopped at 10 and 12. Mm-hmm. You literally were dragged for this when Ivy Park was first came out, I think like the first round. And then when Drip came, they were dragged for this. And they still didn't show the models. Like, I'm so proud of the work that Brande and other folks have done. But the reality is, if they didn't do that, who are we going to see in the clothes? Because people who look like the women in that picture or in that who are part of that content creation, none of those bodies were selected were given a box. They weren't put on the website. They're not put on the Ivy Park Instagram page. So to me, it is saying who is appropriate for drip. And even to Bria and Monique, while they are plus size, they are hourglass women. Same conversation I can have about body, right? Is body diverse? You know, I can challenge that and say, well, everybody had a flat stomach that was on there, plus size or not. They were all flat stomach, BBL shaped. Even though I'm not saying they all had BBLs, I'm saying that is a standard of beauty. And so I think drip extending the size was beautiful, but I think like this is why body positivity needs a deeper conversation, because if we just talk about self-love and we're not talking about access and representation in a real way, and who is able to be represented, and how close proximity to thinness do they have to be? Do they have to have flat stomachs in order to that? Is that the socially acceptable plus size that we want to see?
Well, I think that is something that needs to be pointed out, right? Like, I think that when a lot of these companies attempt to accommodate, they have this vision. And being in marketing, you know, I've been accused of this as well. You have this vision, they tell you in marketing, like, visualize what your customer looks like. But you have to be willing to stray from that vision, because everyone is not that like, as we call it in radio, P1, right? Sometimes they're a little bit to the left, and sometimes they're a little bit to the right. Sometimes they're far to the left. Sometimes they're far to the right. And your job is to make sure that you accommodate all of them, right? And I think that it deserves to be mentioned that they did have plus size, quote unquote, 4X people. They just weren't women.
There were men, queer men.
Yeah.
Or queer men, yeah.
Which I find really interesting. Like it's almost as if, and again, I'm LGBTQIA friendly. Not that that's, you know, anything to be mentioned, but I think that, you know, I say this because I'm 100% for the LGBTQIA community, right? But I think that it deserves to be mentioned that queer men don't represent us as Black women.
No.
Right.
We're not the same. Like, and while I understand the thought process of being inclusive, I think that our bodies, just as men, our bodies are not shaped the same as men, right? Like that it's not the same for us. We will ride out for them and love them and have them be our best friends and choir director and whatever else, right? I know that sounds super stereotypical, but like, they're not us.
It was.
What I'm saying is, no matter how much we embrace them, they are not us, and their experience in clothing is not our same experience. Like,
but it's always been acceptable to be a fat man, you know. And so there's still some discrimination, but it's far more acceptable.
Yeah. And I'm scrolling through Instagram while y'all said that. I'm like, let me see if they've updated any of these models. They haven't. They have not. What are they doing, y'all?
Yeah. They went and got a tall girl and added her to the mix. Yeah. And that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, they got some tall people in here and some skinny, curvy people, and that's about it. That's all you got.
And the thing about it is, like, I saw, you know, someone mentioned, like, you know, everyone does not have a teeny waist with the BBL body, right? Like, as Danni mentioned, but like, also some people are square. Some people are shaped like a square, and that's fine.
All of it.
Right. But make clothes that are accommodating to them, right? Yeah. Like and like I said earlier, I am super hippie. I know that I'm not walking into a store and buying a dress and having it fit. That's just not how life works, right? Like, I need some extra give in these hips, right? And you look at me from the waist up and you're like, oh, she's cute and, like, you know, she's a little fit or whatever. Waist down, completely different picture. Just saying, everyone is shaped differently. And if anyone has the resources to represent everyone's body type, it would be Beyonce and Adidas. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Utilize your resources and utilize your influence for positivity. And I think that, like, yeah, okay, the Beehive is probably going to drag us and drag this episode and whatever. But the truth of the matter is, like, we do have a certain amount of social responsibility. And I would like to say, if it were handicap exclusionary, would we have the same, like, laissez-faire attitude about it? Probably not, right? Like, fair is fair. Just saying.
Yeah, it goes to like thinking about like and this is not like an attack on Beyonce, but like even thinking about Black is King, right? Is like, where were the fat people? I mean, I can say Black Panther too. Like, where were the fat Black women? We're not getting to any Black heaven, any Black golden Black hymns. Like, we're not going anywhere. So when we think about like representation and like what progress we've made around body positivity, the people who have created it have been left out the most. Like fat Black people, fat Black femmes created body positivity specifically for fat Black femmes, and we are the people who are fighting to be included. It's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Lizzo spoke to that. I'm not sure. I feel like a couple of months ago, and she was talking about how like, yeah, it's mainstream now and it's the cool thing to do, but like it's really a thing. Like it was created because of necessity, right? It wasn't created because we just wanted another movement. I mean, 2020 has not been short of any sort of movement at all. We didn't need just another movement. The reality is, if you are not the picture of model, you are excluded. And social media doesn't do anything but exacerbate that, right? And so the fact that we're now at home and the majority of what we see and the majority of our interactions are with either social media, television, you name it, the places where we are not well represented, what do you think people are going to feel about themselves?
Right.
You know, Danni, it wasn't until you just said that I didn't even realize that Wakanda Forever had no people that were any diversity of size.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. I didn't even realize that. We're just watching this and it's just like, oh. And then the new movie, was it Jingle Jangle?
Yeah.
There's no diversity of size in that either.
Mm-hmm.
No. But those are our Black Mecca movies.
Yeah, and
that's interesting.
I think that now that you mention it, I mean, Danni, that's not even something that I even thought about. But like now that you mention it, the only things that I can think of is when, a plus size woman is being degraded, like, or somehow made to feel less than. Like I can think of, obviously the most notable example for me is Precious. The other notable example is, I don't know if you all remember Being Mary Jane, but do you remember how they like shamed the niece for and it's like or the plus
insecure?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And then on top of that, it's like, or the plus size woman is like the matriarch of the family. She's Big Mama, right? Like there's no in between. And not for nothing, but the plus size women that I hang around, that's not Big Mama, and that's not somebody that needs to be shamed.
Right.
So where's the in between? I mean, it's not even representative of what our real life is like, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's interesting. Like I did the piece for Teen Vogue about just like a reckoning of fat characters. But part of that, I was trying to do research about like, what are the numbers for that? And I went to like USC, their media diversity. I mean, they've done studies on everything. There were no studies about body diversity in film or television at all. So you realize like that's not even something on people's radars. You're looking at how much, you look at racial diversity, gender, LGBTQ, but people aren't even looking at body diversity and like the effects that it has. So there's a lot of work.
That's a shame. There wasn't even a study, right?
No. Refining 29 did one like a couple years ago, like a small thing about just like leading characters, which we know that's how far off we are with that. It's always a sidekick. So yeah, there's a lot to be done.
Can you talk about your Teen Vogue article a little bit?
I think, that it literally is what we were just talking about when you see how someone who looks like you is represented. So I'm into the show. And I'm just realizing like it's a little one too many jokes about Kim or Oisha, and you realize just how big of a point of focus that was on the show. And for someone who, we talked about that Danni was maybe a 10, 12, not even fully plus size or what we would think of that now. And as a kid, I was plus size as a kid. I didn't even see her, as plus size, but there are so many jokes about her size. And even I've just started watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Every episode, there's a joke about Uncle Phil and his weight. And even as a kid, I didn't realize just how prevalent that was and how constant. And I'm like, I would love to even just ask those actors, how did that feel? Because you think about someone making a joke based on your physicality. Like this this isn't the character who you play. This is how you physically exist in the world. And they've decided to make that a part of, the storyline and those jokes. And so, yeah, I was just disgusted, honestly, with the Moesha situation. And thinking about it in juxtaposition to Disclosure, which was the documentary on Netflix about representation of trans men and women. And I'm like, we need the same thing for plus size people, fat bodies, and that, because I think people don't realize the psychological effects that has when you don't see anyone that looks like you on TV, when you don't see anyone being loved who looks like you on film, the effects that have, and how it also gives other people license to treat you in a certain way, to only see you as a joke, to make comments about you. And so I really just feel like there needs to be a documentary that explores how plus size bodies have been represented over the years.
I think that's a great idea. I think that you should make it. But I think that no, I do. I really do. But I think that you should make the documentary or start. I mean, look, we have the resources. I will support you 100%. But I also think that in that documentary, we should talk about how our society would almost rather get a skinny model and put them in a fat suit than to actually have someone who actually is plus size. I mean, that's like an able-bodied person acting as a handicapped person. We would not accept that, right?
Which there was just a whole controversy about. I can't remember the movie, but it was trending. But outrage and trending, just like you said. But when it's a fat issue...
Because I'm thinking about Viola Davis right now, about to play Ma Rainey. And I have a lot of issues with it, right? Because one is... I'm supposed to be writing about it, but I'm just going to talk.
give us the scoop, right?
I'm like, well, I'm just gotten into writing. So I'm like, I'm so used to talking and telling everything. But what I will say about it is, what's interesting is not only this isn't the first time Viola Davis has played a fat character, right? She's also played Florida Evans on Good Times, and she was put into a fat suit. And I think like it's pretty interesting for me, because like we know that there's limited roles for dark-skinned women, and then they're like, let me make you fat. But then not thinking like, even Taraji was in a fat suit, right? She played a historical, I forget the Black woman's name, right? And so it's interesting, I guess, for me, because we don't know a lot about fat Black women in history, right? Like they leave us on this conversation like Mammy, which we don't know a lot about Hattie McDaniels. We just know Gone with the Wind, Mammy, the way that people talk about Gabby Sidibe and just call her Precious as if she doesn't have a name. That's how that's how Hattie McDaniels has been erased. And so we don't like, and I think it's another form of erasure when you put other Black women or even Black men like inside a fat suit to tell fat Black women's story. And then even I think they did a good job with Clark Sisters, but I don't think there was a good job. Like there wasn't a good job with what is it? Self-Made Story of Madam C.J. Walker, right? It was like extremely traumatizing, the things that I learned that were so fake. And I'm like, we don't see enough historical fat Black women in film and their contributions to like Black liberation. And so to make this like sexy story, or to see Viola Davis about to be in a fat suit, right? And we had Queen Latifah and Monique play these roles in the past. Like, why not give a fat Black femme a opportunity to play this character? Because it's so important. Like, would we get somebody dark skinned to play Rosa Parks? No. Like we would do our best to find somebody who looks so similar to her.
Yeah, I think, and then here's the thing. If you don't have it, the same way that they look for characters that resemble our, historic white characters, like people in history that are white, go find a new talent. Right. What a better time to scout talent than when you need it, right?
Exactly.
I just don't think that I think that it's a shame, but I don't think that people put in the effort because it doesn't bother them. Because it doesn't affect them. It's not their issue. It's not something that they have to deal with. I mean, time and time again, we see when it's a white male making a decision, or, someone that it doesn't directly affect who they are, their life every day, it doesn't matter to them. And that's the unfortunate part. But when it matters, let me tell you something. This movement has taken on a life of its own, and I'm thinking that the next time that we all sit down, the conversation will be which one has which deal with which label. That's all I'm saying.
more Oh That's Deep Black Women Conversations right after this.
Hi, this is Nikki Woods inviting you to join me for Move, a podcast magazine for women. We talk about all of the things you need as a busy mother, entrepreneur, businesswoman, or just the woman on the go. We bring you fresh perspectives on health, relationships, food, finance, travel, and more. And we will also introduce you to some interesting women that are doing their thing. Find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Stitcher. You can also follow us on Instagram at Move Podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at Move Podcast. Move, a podcast for women just like you.
I think a lot of people equate weight to health, and that's why they may put their kids on diets and things like that. That's completely inappropriate and it's not healthy. You need to make sure we know what are we actually looking for, right? So if you're talking about somebody that's at risk for diabetes, yeah, it does say, as a doctor, we know that people that are obese have a higher risk of getting diabetes, but not just because of the number on the scale. It's because those people have a higher risk of having high triglycerides and low HDL, which is your good cholesterol, and that can lead to some other things. So I think that instead of doctors themselves or parents trying to focus on weight and comparing it to health, we need to look at, okay, are you overweight or obese and your cholesterol is fine? Like, that's the real risk factor. Are you thin and you have high cholesterol? That's the real thing, because you can have people that are skinny and have a much higher risk factor for getting diabetes or heart disease because they have high triglycerides and a low HDL versus somebody that is overweight or fat and have great cholesterol. So I think that we need to stop paralleling weight and health. Those are two different things. And I think that it would be basically out of character for me not to say, hey, don't ignore the health signs. Okay. We have to make sure we are healthy. And if losing weight will help your cholesterol and help reduce your risk factors for some bad things to happen later on, then yeah, I think we do need to be intentional and pay attention to what we can do. But I don't think that it's this ideal number that we need to be working towards to make sure that we're healthy. Because what happens is we get to this ideal number in using some unhealthy techniques. Like chronic diarrhea is not going to get you, a permanent healthy number, and it's going to cause your electrolytes to be unbalanced. If you are taking diet pills that's going to rev your metabolism up, well, okay, that's going to cause you to have heart disease because now you made yourself have hypertension. So I think we need to take a look at the bigger picture, and it has nothing to do with, hey, you are 50 pounds overweight or 100 pounds overweight. If your numbers look good, meaning if your cholesterol looks good and your blood pressure is controlled, like that's the stuff you need to focus on to look at your overall health status, not the number on the scale.
And I want to even chime in on that too. Like, I know that doctors' offices can be like really freaking scary. Like, I fell off a bike and like Nicole, I sprained my ankle and I hurt my leg. I was riding a bike in heels. Let's not even talk about it, y'all.
I'm not that gangster. Yeah, I'm not that gangster to ride a bike in heels. That must have been for some promo. You must have been doing.
In my way, I couldn't turn. I would have literally. I couldn't turn. I was trying to hear. I could just hit her. But so I went to the doctor, and my doctor was a Black male. I went to the doctor, and I left with diet pills. But he prescribed me diet pills before he could even examine my leg. He had forgot about it because the whole entire conversation was about me being overweight. And as someone who like does this work, right? And I talk about this, I talk about this a lot. It's not enough for doctors to be Black, for them to be women, for them to be anything. They must have to understand like weight discrimination, specifically dealing with Black women, because like I'm a Black woman, had a Black doctor, and I experienced like not being cared for. And that's not reflective of all Black doctors, right? But like I experienced not being cared for, and he was about to walk out of the room. And I have a video about this on my YouTube channel. And I was like, hey, I came here for my leg. And he was like, oh, you're right. And I forget that diet pill, but it starts with a P. Phentermine, or what is it called?
No, that's phentermine is Adipix. Same thing as Adipix. It's phentermine. 37.5.
What does that do, Dr. Plenty?
It increases your metabolism. So it's going to increase your heart rate. It basically helps rev up everything, right? So if you have high blood pressure or anything like that, you shouldn't be on that. We know that it can increase your heart rate. Like that's how it works. It increases your heart rate. It causes you to burn more. It's like if you're working out, your heart rate is increased. So you're going to burn more calories. Same thing with phentermine. It's going to increase your heart rate.
So is that safer than potentially getting diabetes down the line? I'm confused. Like your heart seems a little bit more important to me.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Like when people focus on, weight as opposed to health, and they're trying to get people to a lower weight by giving them unhealthy stuff to get them there, that's a problem. And no knock to people that are on diets or that use diet pills, because if you're taking a short course of it, it's not going to have a long-term effect. But I know a lot of people and a lot of women that abuse diet pills for years in order to maintain this, this figure or this image. Like I can name 10 people off the top of my head right now that are on Adipex because they want to lose weight or stay this, particular size.
So Danni, when you told the doctor, like, hey, I'm here for my foot, like, did he feel some kind of way? Like, did he realize, like, oh, I've been mad disrespectful? Or did he just
shouldn't feel some kind of way? He was out of line. How am I going to go in here for one problem, a big problem, like I can't walk, and you're going to talk about my weight? But I can't walk right now.
So how did he respond, Danni?
He turned it back around. He was like, oh, and so we had a conversation about my leg, and like me falling, but he kept making the conversation about my weight. And like, he just like wouldn't focus on, I fell off a bike. I fell off a bike in downtown Orlando, and he wouldn't focus. And my story is like a light story, right? I've had people write me and tell me stories where they've had tumors, right? They've had tumors that weren't found because the doctor focused on their weight. And so that's why, like, I hear that mainstream body positivity is like, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. And that's why it's not 100% my message, right? I'm talking about safety of people in larger bodies because, and I know that more so directly impacts Black women in a different way. Our bodies are not made like than white women. They're not. And so for me, I think it's like really important that we talk about, like, if a Black woman chooses to lose weight, that's so that I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, she want to lose weight. She don't want to be one of me no more, because I understand there's safety in being smaller. It's one less thing that you have to worry about as a Black woman and experiencing healthcare. So we need more Dr. Nicole's out here. He needs like Dr. Nicole's and like, but the doctor, he didn't feel any kind of way at all. Like, it was just like, girl, you fat, and that's what we got to focus on. I left that doctor. I do have another doctor, and they're way more like body positive, and they like treat me, and they're like, what? You were told this because of your weight? Like, what? And they were like all over the place. Like, this is crazy. And so it made me think about, like, I think for me and my body, I need someone who understands race and who understands weight discrimination. And like, and I don't care what race they are, they need to understand those two things.
I think that's important. I think that we should have, and I think that this is why in the medical field, just like any other field, representation is important, right? Like, a Black woman that is, not a rail is probably going to understand me a little bit more than a thin white male doctor. I'm just saying, right? Like we would have or could have potentially gone through some of the same things, or at least we would hope, right? Like we would hope that a doctor that looks like us would be more representative of what we have experienced and our needs than another doctor. We would hope, but there's some whack Black female doctors that are plus size out there as well. So we're just going to pray for, as Nicole calls it, that we don't hit a drive-by medical doctor.
Hi, I'm Kendra Bracken Ferguson, and I am a founder, brand builder, entrepreneur, and believe in the mantra Carpe Diem. I created this podcast, Business of the Beat, through my own experience as a beauty executive to talk about, tell stories, and highlight the business of beauty through conversations with beauty and wellness entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, helping to diversify the industry.
Say It Loud Network presents Business of the Beat. Coming soon.
I would like to bring up something, and I'm going to play devil's advocate, but the devil don't need an advocate, but I'm going to just bring up this option. Oftentimes that as Black women, and also specifically larger Black women, I found that especially men have this tendency to sexualize us, right? Mm-hmm. So while it's not your ideal version of quote unquote beauty, you have some weird fantasy that in your mind you've played out or you want to fulfill, and then comments like that often come up, right? Like, it's inappropriate. Why is it inappropriate? Because I'm wearing it, or is it inappropriate because of your thoughts of it, right? Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes I found that when people say that things are inappropriate, if you know me, if you look at my social media, I err on the modest side, right? Just my personal preference. Now, if my body gets to where I want it to be, and that ain't smaller, it's just different proportions, right? Or closer proportions, I should say, then I might just walk around naked, right? But until I do, I dress appropriately. And you all can see my air quotes, but for the listeners, appropriately in air quotes, right? But people tend to have a view of it because they have sexual thoughts about it and about how I'm dressed. It didn't come from me. It does not come from what I'm trying to exude. It comes from how you are perceiving what you're looking at. Sexualizing me is your problem, not mine. And I think that we need to address that more too. Like, why is this, like, unpack, why is this inappropriate?
Yeah. And because we know it's not just white men, it's with young Black girls. You wear shorts, but because your body's already developed, oh, you're too fast, you're too grown, you're getting sexualized, and that's something you have absolutely no control over. And that's Black women who will do that, to you and to young girls. So it's a lot there. That's the issue.
I'm thinking of two books. One of them is Thick by Teresa Cottom, and another one is Fat Girls and Black Bodies by Joy Cox. And a lot of this is mentioned in there, right? And when you are a bigger girl at a young age, right? And like Teresa Cottom's book is about like mostly all Black girls, but Joy Cox's book is mostly about fat Black girls. But when you're so young, you learn all these things about like your body and how people expect you to police it. And to answer your question about like why is it this way when it comes to sexualization, I think sometimes that larger Black women are punished for not being sexy when white people or society is saying you have the permission to be sexy, right? And so it's this ownership of your body that people want to have, because let's just be honest, we have not, in the media and just the roles that fat Black women have played, we've never seen them own their sexuality in films, like truly be, and sexuality is not about being sexy. It's like, I have control over this identity that in its mine. It's not one that you get to dangle, like I'm a puppet. And so I think it is like, I go back to Lizzo, she was punished because she wasn't sexy when people told her she could be sexy, right? And so if she was, on porn.com, right, that is a time that Lizzo is people with Lizzo's body, not Lizzo. I ain't saying she on porn.com, but people who look like Lizzo are allowed to be sexy. But if she's owning it, she's not allowed, because you don't have that permission. And so that is the root of the issue. People think they own us, and you don't.
Well, I agree with that point, Danni. Absolutely. Danni and Brande, thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. This has been an awesome conversation. I am just grateful to have the insight from two of you boss chicks in the podcast.
This has been super awesome. Like, this is our first time where the conversation just kept going, so we had to share it with everyone. We want you all to join the conversation too. So please email us at that'sdeepbwc@gmail.com. And Nicole, you want to tell them where they can find us on social media?
Yes, you can find us on Instagram at that'sdeepbwc. You can also find us on Facebook at that'sdeepbwc, or on Pinterest at That's Deep Black Women Conversations. We're on there too. And we will be dropping some recipes and some looks, some cute looks, I'll say. I've switched my hair up a time or two, so I'll drop those on there too.
And Don't forget, for those of you who like Twitter, I know you don't like Twitter, Nicole, but for those of you who like Twitter, who like to get their thoughts out really quickly like me, we're at O_BWC on Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe and rate us.
Until we meet again.
Pray, work, slay.
And show off your melanated excellence.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversations is produced by Nicole Lee Plenty and Janine Brunson Johnson. Executive producer, Ken Johnson. Get the Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversation podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, or where you get your podcasts. Please subscribe and rate us. You can follow Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversations on IG at Oh, That's Deep, BWC. Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversations is a Mean Old Lion Media production.